I thought I would do some verbal processing about YouTube creation. I know your feed is probably filled, like mine, with how to be awesome on YouTube, how to monetize, what to do, what to not do. And I am not promising the answers at all. I'm just sharing some of my behind the scenes. And I'm verbal processing for two reasons. I'm also doing my nails while I do this. I had an experience the other day when I was thinking about making some YouTube videos, some long form video. Short form video content is pretty easy for me. And I realized after watching a lot of these like 40 plus YouTube channels, I personally have a nuanced double-edged sword. It's not actually binary experience with social media. On one hand, social media in general, and before it was called content creation, I was creating content. As soon as live video was possible, I was creating content. My YouTube channel is 16 years old. Have I, until recently, tried to think about it as a moneymaker? Never. It was just a repository for my videos. And last October, I decided to get really intentional with YouTube. And one of the reasons, outside of my altruistic and I love my content and I love the things I think about reasons, was I wanted to make some money. I wanted to have another stream of income. I kind of had, honestly, it wasn't necessarily generated from any creativity. It was more just frustrated with having made content since 2008 on social media and only having ever been paid $6.95 from TikTok about a video about my Republican parents and I'm not Republican, share a common love of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. The only other thing I've gone viral for is having a heart attack. And those are not necessarily things that you want to niche around, right? And so I've never known social media without it being intertwined with, let's straighten some things, with my business. On one hand, I was so fortunate because when I left working for, actually the first few years of social media, when I was a contractor, I was not an employee, but I was a contractor who was treated like an employee illegally. I didn't know any better at the time. But when I worked for a company over on Facebook, I did not work for Facebook, but on Facebook, I had a separate account called Shit I Can't Say Out Loud on Facebook because I was affiliated with this company. And after 4 years, I left that company and was able to ditch that account and just be me. And so I have had this incredible opportunity. So have I ever been paid directly for making content? Do I want to be paid by sponsors? I don't know. I'm pretty picky. And my content has generated business for my service-based business. Millions of dollars over the years. And as I'm watching these YouTube videos, the other day it struck me, and maybe I'll insert this here. It's just a quick 2-minute. I turned on the camera and captured it. I was just realizing my identity, I'll put it in here. I'm having a moment. I don't know how to exist in the world without identifying with with my business and my work. And I'm not saying that's a good or bad thing. What else would I identify and be attached to? Family, husband, those kinds of things. But I just caught myself trying so fucking hard without even realizing how hard I was trying. And then there's the part that comes up that says, kind of critical, that says, Allison, after all these years and all this inner work, you're still striving. And it only gives me these two alternatives. Striving and doing the thing work, or being a blob on the couch. And that binary isn't really true. That's all. Okay. So that was brought on by realizing that my mindset towards creating content has always been to position myself and my coaching services. And coaching is just not good enough word. There is no word to explain the magic of what I'm able to do for people. And I notice that I overthink it now more than I ever did. In the early days, I even created a course around it called Share Your Heart, Show Your Work. And people would say, how did you leave the company and make it work? How are you one of the coaches that, makes 6+ figures a year and all these things? And in about 2015, I re-engineered it. I was like, I don't know, I just share my heart, show my work, and love all my people. And I created this course at the time. That was, of course, the highlight. If you know anything about online internet stuff, that was the highlight. Those years were just the glory years of selling courses. And I had so much fun. It was a live course. I like doing live things. I don't like doing recorded stuff. But I have this little should in my head, and maybe you do too, about content creation. About using the internet to generate congruent revenue. And congruence is really important for me. It has to be, sometimes I'm like, many years ago, Danielle Laporte said I don't know the context of what she said it in. I would have to look it up, but she was like, fuck your principles. And she wasn't saying that to be bad. I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong. But Danielle Laporte was saying that in the sense that there's a time and space when our principles, I don't know. I don't want to misspeak for her. I'll have to look it up, but I'm noticing in my life that my principles are a slippery slope, right? Like I didn't want to, part of the reason I wanted to make money outside of my coaching practice is I do really deep work. It is the thing that gives me the greatest joy. And there are times when I feel like my own psychology needs to be in a certain place to, this is a story I'm making up, but needs to be in a certain place to market my coaching services from the place that I really want to. And in the last 3 years, I've had a lot of chronic health challenges and just the whole midlife breakdown and struggles and family things and parent caregiving and illnesses and just the big tornado of midlife stuff. And I'm okay with it. I am genuinely at the place where I can see that it is all the seeds of me becoming my truest self. My astrology chart says I'm a late bloomer, which is fun because if I'm a late bloomer and my 30s and 40s were as awesome as they are, then I can't wait to see what's going on there. And we'll just fix that little. I'm doing a real subtle, like, American tip. Excuse me. So this, right, like this allergy inflammation I've been struggling with for a few years. And shout out to a friend of mine on here who does autistic, late diagnosed ADHD content. I'm also late. That was the other thing in the last few years, like late diagnosed autism and ADHD will flip your life inside out. And it is hard. It is good, but it is hard. It is total remodeling down to the bones of your identity. But she mentioned mast cell activation syndrome and the over-the-counter thing she's doing to treat it. And it's been life-changing in the last 15 days. I'm a completely new person. And then there's grief that, like, I seriously suffered through this the last 4 years. Anyways, let's get back to content. I do think I want to create for my own sanity, for my own joy. Like, sometimes I think so hard about creating for you who's watching that I lose myself. And I know that sounds really selfish because I do want the things I share to impact you. And this is important for part of that psychology inside of me. I can't manipulate myself to do that for you. That felt really good to say. That felt really good to, like, that came out of my own brain. Because for so many years, I didn't even know I was manipulating myself. I wouldn't say that I was necessarily being inauthentic. I was actually known for my authenticity. But I would say I didn't realize how much I was unconsciously masking. And the other day, a YouTube or a TikTok video came up, and it was from 2022. And I shared it because the information was good, but it was like, who is that woman? And even this woman named Kayla, who comments on a lot of things. Kayla, if you ever see this, hi. Kayla was like, it's you, but it's not you. Like, she called me out on it. And I know she is kind and loving and appreciates my content. And I was like, you're so right, Kayla. It is so me in my mask, like performing Allison. And here comes my husband. And so I had to come to grips. You know, I'm in an industry, I think a lot of industries can be, but I am in an industry that can be very exploited. I mean, all of capitalism involves exploitation, but I'm in an industry that has a bad reputation for a lot of bullshit, and there is a lot of bullshit. And I can honestly say that I've never, and obviously never, how many times can I say obviously? I've never intentionally exploited my audience. I'm sure in the early days, like, I used sales techniques that I didn't realize were exploitative. Hi, I'm recording a video.
We went on a long walk.
And a couple years ago, my friend Jay Winia helped me come to kind of, I was really bothered by a lot of, you know, once you see capitalism and the way it works. Like last night we were at a venue and my husband is 6'5" and we're sitting in the chairs and I'm 5'10", and it's like they're gonna get the smallest space they can, and human beings don't fit in that's like children chairs. Anyways, and that's capitalism. And Jay helped me come up with this, like, he said these words and they really struck in my heart. Like, commerce existed long before capitalism, and capitalism involves the government and exploitation. And not only is there exploitation of the audience or exploitation of the earth or exploitation of your clients, for me, I exploited myself. I manipulated myself. I abandoned myself in ways I didn't know. And I don't want to do that now. And yet I still want it to be successful, right? There's a part in my brain that's like, unless you do this, this won't work. And so I realize as I watch all these videos, is the question I'm asking myself, is there a difference between creating a channel of Allison and her work and the things she wants to share? Is that about monetizing YouTube and making income? Or is that about, the answer comes as we talk it out loud, is that about sharing my heart and showing my work and eventually some of these people will be blessed, like that, the buying and selling of goods and services with congruence, that I have services that people will want to not just buy, but they'll want to have the experience of the help that my working with me gives. It's like a symbiotic relationship. And I wonder if creating content for monetization is different from that. And the thong, not the thong. We do not wear thongs anymore. In fact, we wear boxer shorts. The thing that song from Wicked, Popular, and I realize that's little girl parts of me that want to be popular. There's a story I think many of us may have. You may have this. I know I have it. Many of my clients, and I've heard it 1,000 times over the last 21 years of coaching. Well, not 21 years because social media wasn't there in the beginning. But if my work online is popular, then enrolling clients will be easier. And in the past, enrolling clients was really, really easy for me. In the last 3 years, I've changed. My audience has changed. And it feels hard again. And I'm pretty sure a lot of that is story I'm making up in my head. I'm UV drying my nails. I'm pretty sure a lot of that is story I'm making up in my head. And I'm just taking a moment to breathe. That's the other thing, like, I don't want to edit out my breath. I don't want to edit out my slowing down to reconnect with myself, because I want to model what's real. A part of me makes up, like, Allison, pick a niche, start a new channel, that, or just flip this whole channel over into some hardcore niche, and immediately I feel constricted. Immediately I feel like I'm wearing Spanx. I have a video this is my most popular video on here, where I do a talk about becoming authentic and taking off the Spanx, and I take off my clothes on stage. Yes, that's clickbait. And I do take off my clothes. But it was a great metaphor, a great talk. And when I think about that, so I'm getting my answer by talking out loud to you. And if I'm asking myself better questions, what if I gave myself permission to have a verbal processing, playlist, a verbal processing playlist, and maybe some of my So first of all, verbal process is something that a lot of people with ADHD, I think it's my ADHD. Could be my autism. I'm hyperlexic. Verbal processing helps me come to conclusion. And a lot of times if I don't get it out of my mouth, then, and journaling doesn't quite work the same way. Journaling is like a recording of my thoughts, but verbal processing just lets it flow. And I come to my greatest wisdom because as I speak out loud, I feel the sensations in my body. So as I talk about this internal struggle that I've been having with creating YouTube, perhaps it's best that I remove and tell YouTube I'm not interested in the how to grow on YouTube videos. Yes, I am interested in growing on YouTube. Would it be so fun if I were able to monetize my channel? It would be so fun if I were able to inspire or help or comfort or delight people. You do not need to tell me that I look like a liberal woman. You do not need to tell me that my forehead is too big. I'm aware of these two things about myself. And actually, my forehead is exactly the size that it was made. And I am a liberal woman. So thank you for pointing that out. Social media is so weird. But it's also such a gift. There's another part that feels so obligated to niche down. And sometimes I just, even as a leader, so that's the other thing. I don't really lead in a hierarchical way. I lead kind of in a circular, when I do my events with clients, even the biggest event I ever did was 52 people. And we had this giant horseshoe. I like to have tables because I want my clients to be able to draw and create while we're talking. So it's not just chairs. And we create a big circle or rectangle at my events, and there's a reason for that. And in my membership group that I have now with my clients, it feels like a circle of wise women. It's not Allison is the authority. Allison is the facilitator. Allison is the host. I do have some knowledge. I do have some gifts. I have some modeling, but man, the people I work with are awesome. And it's so fun to be able to have a circle of energy instead of, it's so funny because in my mind I hear certain colleagues of mine that I would never, right? There's certain things that they would never do because they would never let somebody see their weakness. They would never share if they had an illness. They would never share who their coach is or that they even have a coach. And I'm annoyingly known for giving credit to all the ancestors in my coaching and personal development lineage. Oh, to each his own. So yeah, that declares it. I'm creating a playlist called Verbal Processing. Maybe it won't be popular. And popular might be a goal of a little part of me, a young part of me that wants relief. But the wise woman Allison knows to... The wise woman Allison just saw a nail mistake. Not mistake, but some weirdness. The wise woman Allison knows to keep her head up, rest when she's discouraged, and keep taking one step forward. I would like to, if you made it this far in this video, thank you. Say hi in the comments and introduce yourself. And I want to thank Stephanie for commenting on every single one of my videos. That is not intended to obligate you, but you have really encouraged me, and I appreciate it. There is a thing called the first follower. If you Google search the first follower video, it's a fun little video. It's just a fun little video, the first follower. And I've been the first follower for some people. One of my coaches that has run this leadership program when he very first launched it, he was so nervous about it. And I was just like, I'm in. And he's done it with gazillions of, not gazillions, but he's done it with hundreds of people over the last 10 years. So maybe I'll grow on YouTube. Maybe I won't. What if I gave myself permission to keep... There's a thing I learned in graduate school. I only remember a few things other than a trashy little affair with a guy named Bill. Not my husband, Bill. I remember taking a class and learning about cognitive play. And cognitive play is a way of learning that, like the way that many of us learn how to use a new washing machine. And we just start pushing buttons, right? We don't necessarily open the user manual for some things. We just start pushing the buttons. And so far in my life, because I am an experimenter, I've been able to use cognitive play to create anything and everything I want without trying so effing hard. And I will do my inner work on the parts of me that are trying so hard. I did a lot of grief work the other day about those. ChatGPT is another thing I'm totally having a blast with. And so that's my conclusion. Like, I don't have to try so hard. I don't have to take all these people's advice. It probably never will be super popular. And the right people will find it. And the right people will find my work. And I'm still coming up against that. You know, what's this channel for? Is this channel to monetize? And if so, do this. Or is this channel to share my heart and show my work? And all of you who are creating too, I know you put time and energy and effort and you want there to be a result. And when you create a video and there's like 8 views. And what if 8 people see? And what if one person's life is slightly shifted, or they have more compassion or self-permission? I guess that's the work that I came here for. Thanks for connecting. Say hi. Follow, like, share. I'm not afraid to ask those things.